Many persons seem to be surprised and are asking, who is Jennifer Housen? Of course, with the information coming in recently that Jennifer Housen joined the PNP General Secretary race, many persons are quite shocked. They never saw this dark horse coming. She is a former People's National Party's caretaker for West Rural St. Andrew, and she has recently declared publicly that she will be offering herself as a candidate for the role of General Secretary of this political organization called the People's National Party. It was only on Saturday that Housen said that after doing much thought, she had decided to offer herself for the post of General Secretary. She further added that the individual to be installed in that post must be involved in the reuniting process. According to Ms. Housen at the time, the party needs to go through a process of rebuilding and reuniting so that they can engage other persons. And she says that these processes will require a general secretary that has tenacity, administrative skills, organizational skills, a lot of empathy, and excellent skills in conflict dispute resolution. She further went on to state that this new general secretary must be enthused with a need to serve the political organization and support the new comrade leader. She further went on to admonish by saying that she feels that she has the ability to offer all of these qualifications, skill sets, and experience to the party. She is an attorney at law, and she is now the third person to join Raymond Price and Dr. Dayton Campbell as contenders for the post of General Secretary, which will become vacant on November 29th, after Mr. Julian Robinson will issue his resignation to the National Executive Council. Another person who was interested in this post was Basil Waite, but of course Basil Waite was recently hospitalized with pandemic symptoms. And of course, news coming in is that Miss Natalie Nita, who was a Deputy General Secretary before she took leave to provide all of the necessary campaigning and support to Lisa Hanna, has also expressed an interest in becoming General Secretary of the People's National Party. Of course, as we continue to discuss Miss Jennifer Housen, we will provide you with some information about this new person who has entered the race for that of General Secretary of the People's National. Jennifer Housen is an attorney at law, and in 2020, during the early days of the pandemic in Jamaica, she was retained to represent a number of Jamaicans who were on board the Mariella Discovery 2. She mentioned at the time that the delay of entry to these citizens into the country had to be equated to a denial of them coming into the island. 8 Jamaican crew members on that ship had planned to pursue a lawsuit against the government on that matter. She is an attorney in Kingston and St. Andrew, with at least 2 decades of experience in general practice. She is also very avid in immigration law. In 2018, Miss Jennifer Housen had a proposal to the People's National Party. That proposal was to become their representative in the constituency of St. Andrew West Rural. It was later mentioned that she collected money from residents in Mount Zion, Red Hills, to be used to connect them to the water main of another resident, apparently without the permission of the state-run National Water Commission. Miss Housen at the time had said that her proposed action was out of the box, but that she was seeking to have water in the community because they were desperately in need of it. The NWC had said at the time that they had made no arrangements with Miss Housen to facilitate any such project, and further that it does not undertake improvement works in this way. Interestingly, however, the National Water Commission did not say whether the action taken by Ms. Housen was illegal, or what it would do to provide water to the community at the time. There were 3 other related news stories at the time, all having to do with the desperate situation that Jamaicans were encountering where water, or the lack of it, was concerned. Of course, it should also be mentioned that Ms. Housen was encouraged to have conversations with Minister Vaz and the NWC about water in the community in Red Hills, in order for them to come up with a solution. In 2018, Attorney-at-Law Jennifer Housen had reportedly resigned as the People's National Party's caretaker for St. Andrew West Rural. At the time, it was mentioned that she was seeking to hand current Member of Parliament Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn a one-term stint, was among 7 women that were installed by the PNP in February as the party sought to present a new look to electorates for the next general elections. But as sources close to Housen had said, in responding to queries, they were not forthright with her status as caretaker. It was mentioned that they will neither admit it nor deny it, whether or not Ms. Housen had resigned. However, up to October of 2018, Ms. Housen was actively campaigning in Brandon Hill, a PNP stronghold in the constituency of St. Andrew West Rural. It was in 2019 when Ms. Housen, who had provided support for Peter Bunting in his effort to wrestle the presidency from Dr. Peter Phillips. Of course, at that time, Peter Bunting lost the challenge by all of 76 votes to Dr. Peter Phillips, and Dr. Peter Phillips retained his position as the president of the PNP. It was Miss Jennifer Housen who provided avid support to Peter Bunting during that famous 2019 Bunting Challenge era, who issued a claim in 2019 that she was being sabotaged by forces within the PNP, and that this had enabled the party hierarchy to allow her to resign as the standard bearer of West Rural St. Andrew. Miss Housen at the time was a practicing attorney who lived in the United Kingdom for a period of time, and she had been announced in the middle of 2020 as one of those among the group of women that the People's National Party was depending on to thrash the governing Jamaica Labour Party in its challenge to regain state power in the next general elections. However, as the election season was drawing near, the party was again in search of a candidate to take on Olympian Juliet Cuthbert-Flynn at the polls. Housen had resigned in November officially. Members of the party's National Executive Council are scheduled to vote for a new General Secretary as well as a new party chairperson on November 29th. Of these 3 candidates who have expressed interest in becoming General Secretary, Party President Mark Golding has only extended his endorsement for Dayton Campbell, who was an avid supporter of him in his challenge to become the next leader of the party, and they were victorious. Therefore, I would assume that Mark Golding will be keeping Dayton Campbell by his side. He has also expressed his wishes that he was hoping that the National Executive Council would support his decision and elect Dayton Campbell as the next General Secretary of the party. But based on information that has been swirling around, it seems like the National Executive Council will not be doing any such thing, because it seems like some members are very upset with Mark Golding extending his public endorsement in regards to Dayton Campbell for that post. Now let us look at Miss Housen. She had supported Peter Bunting in 2019 during that famous Bunting challenge, when Peter Bunting attempted to wrestle power from Dr. Peter Phillips. Of course, she further went on to state that the PNP must move away from the institutionalized rewarding of loyalties for the greater good of the party. Ms. Housen recently in 2020, during the PNP presidential elections, was an avid supporter of Miss Lisa Hanna, but Lisa Hanna failed in her bid to become party president on November 7th. She was defeated by all of 296 votes by Mark Golding. It should be noted as well that Raymond Price, who is a former PNP Deputy General Secretary, has also publicly declared his support for Mark Golding if he were to become the General Secretary. Of course, what Price is saying is that he will be willing and able to provide the necessary support to the new leader as well. So it seems like these persons are joining the unity wagon of the PNP, and they are willing to work with the party leader despite them not being avid supporters during his presidential campaign. It should also be noted that during the 2020 presidential campaign, while it is assumed that Price was an avid supporter of Lisa Hanna, he did not publicly declare his support for any of the two presidential candidates. Now, of course, many would have assumed that he would have provided the necessary support to Lisa Hanna, because both of these individuals were part of the one PNP team in September 2019 during that famous bunting challenge to Dr. Peter Phillips. Now, it should be noted that Ms. Housen further went on to state that if the party's convictions are serious, and if as a party they are committed to transcending all of those institutionalized rewarding of loyalties for the greater good of the party, then they can lift the party generations or forefathers and defeat any foe against whom they stand united. This mission on behalf of the party, that she is willing and she has expressed her ability to serve as a servant leader in the role of General Secretary. Now, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Of course, this is a new turnaround. Ms. Housen has expressed her interest in becoming the General Secretary. Very difficult to ascertain where Ms. Housen's loyalties lie, but it seems that they lie with the political organization called the People's National Party. She supported Bunting in 2019, and later she came to support Lisa Hanna in 2020. Well, let's see, your loyalties seem to lie with Mark Golding at this time, as she is ready and willing and able to serve the new comrade leader. And of course, she says that her heart is with the party. So what are your opinions on her expressing interest in the post of General Secretary?